All right, let's keep going with our winter greeting card. Let's go and give your snowman a face and some arms. All right, I'm gonna get my zoom tool and zoom in. All right, so we used the shape tool, the ellipse tool, to make the circles for the body. Let's do that again to make some eyes and the mouth. And I'm gonna do the whole snowman made out of coal. So I'm just gonna make a black circle with the ellipse tool. So double check, I've got shape. Right now the fill says white. Let's drop that down. I'm gonna choose black. Oops, because I'm on the same layer, it turned it black. Let's undo that. All right, I've got black as my foreground swatch. I've got the ellipse tool and I'm on shape. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna go ahead and click and drag to make a little circle and let go. And it's gonna make you a brand new shape layer. It's calling it ellipse 1. I'm gonna rename this left eye. And my fill, of course, is white. So I'm gonna change that. I'm gonna click it and change it to black. And I don't think I need a stroke, so I'll go ahead and click on the stroke icon right there, and I'm going to put none, the white square with red slash. All right, so I have my first eye, the left eye. Now I want a right eye, so I'm simply going to duplicate this layer, and I'll call it right eye. Get the move tool, move that on over. Notice I'm using my smart guides to make sure that they're nice and lined up. All right, next up I'm going to make the mouth, little smiley face, and I'm going to just continue to use the circles. So I'm going to go ahead and you could keep duplicating the layer or get your move tool and hold Alt, click and drag, remember that shortcut, to duplicate and drag. I'm going to go ahead and free transform and shrink that down. Notice I clicked my chain. I want the height and the width to maintain consistency. All right, I'm just going to keep doing my shortcut for duplicate. I'm going to get that move tool, hover on it, hold down Alt, click and drag. Okay, so now I've got a whole bunch of layers, and I'm going to need to move them. So I'm just going to cycle through those layers and adjust the smiley face. All right, if you want to, you can resize these, make some of them bigger, some of them smaller. Might be nice to have the ones on the top smaller. Let's see. Okay. All right, next up I'm going to make a nose, a little carrot nose. All right, you could do this a couple of ways. You could draw it with the polygonal lasso tool if you just want it to be a triangle, or you could also draw it with your pen tool. That's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to get my pen tool. I'm going to draw a little nose, carrot nose. All right, so right now it was still on my left eye copy, so it's actually becoming a shape layer. So I'm going to go ahead and undo this. And I think I'd rather make it its own path and then fill it later. So I'm going to go ahead and make a brand new layer. And I'm going to go ahead and draw it with the path for my pen tool. And I kind of want the end of it to be rounded. So I'm going to go back to my original anchor point and I'm going to click hold and drag a little bit to make it rounded. Okay, and then I'll move away from it, right click, fill path, and I'm going to choose an orange color to fill it with. All right, there's my nose. Right click, delete path. And at this point, it's on a layer all by itself, so I can move it around or I can make it bigger and smaller. Maybe I'll give it a little cast shadow and see if that helps make it look like it's indented, or maybe even a bevel and emboss. Okay, I gave it a little pillow emboss, and if you were paying attention, you'll see that it actually did that to the rest of my document too. So that's interesting. Okay, next up I'm going to give it some branch arms. So I'm going to make a brand new layer and call that left arm. Okay, you could do this with the pen tool. I'm going to go grab my pen tool. I'm in path. And I've made a brand new layer. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and make some arms. All right, it was a little jagged, so I'm going to go get my white direct select arrow. Take a look. I'll get my white direct select arrow, and I'm going to edit this. All right, that's a lot smoother. Go back to the pen tool. I'm going to right click and fill path, and I'm going to choose color and brown. All right, I'm going to right click and delete path. Now, if I wanted this to be the exact same branch, I could just duplicate it and move it over here to the other side, but I'll go ahead and just make another one. And if you want to start giving your snowman some other accessories, you could. Maybe you want to give it a scarf or a hat or some mittens or some shoes. I'm going to give it a hat, and I'm going to do it by using the shape tools. First, I'll try the rectangle, and I'm going to use shape mode. There I am, shape mode. All right, it's going to make a brand new layer. All right, and it's filling it in black. Now notice it's a complete rectangle, and I would like it to be sort of arced. So I'm going to get my white direct select arrow, and I'm going to edit with the white direct select arrow a little bit, and sort of make it a little bit diagonal, a little bit wonky. All right, and I'm also going to go get what's called the Convert Anchor Point tool or Convert Point tool. I'm holding down the pen tool. I'm going to get the Convert Point tool, and I'm going to go right here to this edge of the hat, and I want it to be rounded. So I'm going to pull it, and notice it made a corner point or an angle into a rounded, it gave me a direction handle. See that? So now it's rounded on the bottom. And next up, I'm going to go get the elliptical marquee and make the bottom of the hat with an ellipse. And maybe I'll play around editing those too. Okay, I could get even more creative, maybe put a ribbon on it, or, I don't know, a sprig of holly. Whatever you want. Make yours more interesting, more unique. Okay, from here, I'm going to go grab a snowflake brush. Let's go get a snowflake brush. I'm going to go to a free Photoshop free brush site, Brush Easy. All right, Brush Easy. And I'm going to look for a snowflake brush. Okay, remember, some of these are free and some of them are not. So if it has a banner that says premium, that's not free. All right, so look for the ones that don't have a banner, and you can choose one of those that looks good to you. And I'm going to click on the free download. All right, my downloads pops up here, so now I can save it to my desktop. Yours might have downloaded to the corner of your window or your browser. So look for it in either place. All right, I'm going to save mine to the desktop, and let's take a look. Gonna look for it. It's actually a folder. It downloaded as a folder, and it's zipped. I'm going to double click on it to open it up. I'm going to go inside the folder, and I'm going to look for the file that says .abr, that means a brush, and I want to take it out of the folder so that I can find it easier in Photoshop. So I'm going to just drag it out of the folder onto my desktop. All right, now I'll go back to Photoshop, and I'm going to install the brush. I'm going to go to the brush tool, drop down the brush menu, go to the wheel, and I'm going to choose import brushes. All right, now I'm going to browse for that brush on the desktop. There it is. And I'll click load. All right, now I'm in the brush menu still, the drop-down menu, and it's going to be the very last brush. So I'm scrolling down. There it is. There's a new folder that I got, freeze brushes. So I'll open that folder up, and there's all my new snowflake brushes. All right, so notice they're all sort of, they're in a way so that it looks like you painted with the brush. I'm going to stamp with the brush. So I'm going to go ahead and make a brand new layer, and I'll call it snowflakes. All right, and look at that snowflake, it's huge. Okay, so I'm gonna drop this down and I'm gonna make those snowflakes smaller. All right, I'm gonna get white to start with. Maybe I might change it later. I'm gonna do some white ones in the background and maybe some blue ones on top of the snow. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and stamp. Notice they're sort of really light. I can increase my opacity, increase my flow. So I want some of them to be light and some of them to be see-through. So I'm just increasing and decreasing the opacity. I'm also going to make some of them bigger so that they feel like they're closer up, and some of them smaller so that they're farther away. All right, and I've got a whole bunch of different snowflakes, so let's try a different one. All right, now if I want some of them to show up on top of the white, I'm going to go ahead and maybe sample the blue in my background and use that color over the white snow. Let's see how that looks. All right, and now remember, you can actually make these on different layers if you want to play around with, just reducing the whole opacity of the layer. But I'm just reducing the opacity of the brush. All right, so we've got our snowman and we've got our snowflakes that we downloaded as a brush. We'll move on to part 3 next time.